Hello everyone, this is Randy and I wanted to give a quick tour of what the jAlly app can do for you and how it interacts with your Jamf Pro installation. Now when we open up the app, we're going to see the opportunity where we can look up device information based upon a username, a serial number, or if you use an asset tag within your JSS, you can go ahead and search for it that way. But before we get started with any of the settings that we need for searching for a device, the first thing we need to do is connect our app, jAlly, into your JSS installation. To do this, tap on Settings in the top right-hand corner, and we'll have an opportunity here to type in the URL to our JSS. Once we have that in place, we can tap the check button, and we'll see a green outline here that shows us we were able to make that connection successfully. Below that is an exception group ID. And this is going to be utilized only if you'll be using the feature to remove and reapply restrictions to a device. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. We also need to provide a JSS username and password. Now the password that we use is stored within the keychain on the device, so we know it's going to be secure, which is definitely important when working with this. We can tap the verify button again, and if our username and password is correct, we will see the button change to the green outline to indicate a success. We can also configure any status icon notification parameters. These are going to be the items that appear as little dots next to certain aspects of our device information, such as battery level or free space. You can change these, but by default they're set to a warning level of a battery below 30%, and we're going to call it critical at 15. Used space is also going to be a warning at 80% as well as 90 by default, but again, you can change these items if you would like. When you've verified all this information is correct and you're ready to continue, you can tap Save on the top left-hand corner, and that's going to return us to our main screen. But before that, I want to talk quickly about the exception group ID and what this is used for. When we work with configuration profiles, and I see this a lot in education, we put configurations on that prevent students and potentially staff in some cases, and this can even be certain items within your enterprise or your organization that you may not want end users to have access to. We use an exception group ID. In this case is 93. Now you might wonder how we do this and where do we find this information. Within your JSS installation, if you create a new static mobile device group, you will see a URL at the top, and it's going to have an ID number. In our case, for our deployment, it happens to be 93. Yours will most likely be a different number. Now the way that this works is we utilize the API to add and remove devices into the static mobile device group. In turn, the static mobile device group is configured as an exclusion to the scope of our configuration profiles. So as an example, if we have a configuration profile enabled to not allow the App Store to appear on a device, when we configure that configuration profile, it is scoped to all the devices we would like, and we exclude devices that are in this group ID. You can call it troubleshooting or exclusion group, anything that you would like. What happens is when we tap the button that we'll see in the interface in a moment, remove restrictions, we add the device that we're working with into this static mobile device group. Because this device is now in the static mobile device group that is configured as an exclusion to our configuration profile that disables the App Store, it appears on the device. When we reapply restrictions, the device that we're working with is removed from the static mobile device group, which in turn means it is no longer scoped as an exclusion. The configuration profile reapplies that then disables the App Store. We find this really helpful in education because we work on a lot of different settings we don't want students to have access to, but there are times when we're troubleshooting we need access to those. So we're able to do all that very quickly. Hopefully that helps out with the exclusion group ID. Now I want to pop back into our main screen. When we open up the app, we'll see the JSS URL that we are configured to, and our username we'll be utilizing. When you work with these usernames, you just need to make sure that they do have appropriate access within the JSS. So what we can do here is we can look up devices by a username, a serial number, or an inventory number. I'm going to start with username, and I'm going to type in our case, we use a loaner periodically. So when we type that in, we're going to tap the Lookup User button. And in this case, we see there's some error handling built in. Well, that's because I didn't spell iPad loaner correctly. This is a nice way to give us feedback if a parameter doesn't match within our JSS. We can tap on OK, and we'll see the user interface change to a red circle around Lookup User. Now when I come back here and correct our spelling, tap Lookup User, we're going to be presented with a list of asset tags and serial numbers because multiple devices are assigned to the username iPad loaner. That gives us some really great flexibility with our deployment to easily find a device and work with the one that we're intending. When we find the device that we'd like, we're going to just tap on it from the list, and it's going to fill in the information as well as provide the basic information about the iOS version, battery level, free space, so on and so forth. Another option we have is we can clear our information here, and we can also look up a device based upon an inventory number. Now the inventory number works in the exact same way. If I were to type in a number that corresponds to a device that is already assigned to someone, and only one user, which we would hopefully see for an asset tag, it's going to just present that information. If for some reason there are multiple devices, we'll see that chooser pop up where we can pick up the device we would like. I'm going to pull up an inventory number here, 2017-388, and we'll see some information about it. Here's where we have the options at the bottom of the page to do things like update inventory or send blank push notifications. These are really helpful if the inventory information is out of date, or if we have a pending command that for whatever reason doesn't seem to be running. We can work on removing and reapplying restrictions to the device. We also have the capability to restart or shut down the device. Now a newer feature that is in here is to enable or disable loss mode on the device. So if we tap Enable Loss Mode, we're going to see a new window pop up that's going to give us the message we would like to display on the device, the phone number, a footnote, and then an option, do we want to always enable loss mode for this device, as well as the ability to play a loss mode sound. I'm going to go ahead and turn the sound off, and I'm just going to add in a couple of items here. When we're ready to enable loss mode on this device, we tap the button. Within a couple of seconds, we'll see that that command has now been sent out to the device, and it is now indeed in loss mode. Now, this has also been set up so that if I close the window and I enable loss mode again, we'll be able to present and see this information. So again, a really nice way to have the information pop up and to keep it so we don't necessarily have to re-enter it all the time. To turn off loss mode, we tap disable loss mode, and we'll see that that command went ahead. So hopefully that gives you a quick overview of how this app can help out with your iOS deployment. If you're interested in taking a look at it before purchasing, please drop me a message, send me a tweet. I can go ahead and get you a copy so you can make sure it fits with your environment, and I'd be happy to help out with any questions or feature requests you'd love to see. I hope this was helpful. I thank you for your time, and please let me know if this will be a useful app in your organization. Thank you very much.